What's good, everybody? It's your boy BOOGOTTINYC. Welcome to the bottom line. As y'all can see, we're about to set it off. Without any further ado, let's go. If y'all like, y'all can subscribe to the channel. Also, go check out the website, www.drinkbigdrip.com. Let's get it.
Officers investigate a suspicious package. This is a breaking story. We will keep you updated as we learn more. With the U.S. Embassy in London on lockdown. UK police saying, quote, cordons are in place in the area as a precaution while officers investigate a suspicious package. This is a breaking story. We will keep you updated as we learn more. With that, come on in. You're watching Fox and Friends First here on a Friday morning. I'm Todd Pyro.
And I'm Carly Shipkis. We will have more on that story as we learn new details. But first, we start with Trump's latest cabinet decision. President-elect Donald Trump has picked Pam Bondi as his Attorney General nominee just hours after his first pick, Matt Gaetz, decided to withdraw.
Quite a busy day again yesterday. Let's go to Brooke Singman with more on Trump's latest selection. Hey, Brooke.
Hey, good morning, you guys. So Pam Bondi served as Florida's Attorney General from 2011 to 2019. She was the state's first female Attorney General, and before that, she served 18 years as a prosecutor. And as Attorney General, Bondi led efforts to combat opioid abuse and end human trafficking. She also helped recover more than $1 billion in consumer protection, antitrust, and false claims matters. She is also a longtime Trump ally, and he says she will, quote, refocus the DOJ to its intended purpose of fighting crime and making America safe again. Trump says she is smart and tough and is an America First fighter who will do a terrific job as Attorney General. The nomination comes just hours after Trump's first pick, Congressman Matt Gaetz, dropped out of the running. This after Trump reportedly told him he did not have the votes to get confirmed.
Holy, I didn't see that coming. I mean, yes, he was the ultimate troll, and people have the opportunity. They can freak out over a thing and respond. And if you want to do that, you don't have to. You better pace yourself, though, because it's not even Thanksgiving.
Gaetz congratulating Bondi, saying, quote, Pam and I worked closely together when she was Florida's Attorney General and I chaired criminal justice in the State House. She is a proven litigator, an inspiring leader, and a champion for all. And we are still waiting on a pick for Treasury Secretary, but the president-elect is reportedly closing in on Kevin Warsh.
Now, as we spoke yesterday, I don't know exactly why Matt Gaetz decided to decline his position for AG, but it is rather interesting. And speaking to what we spoke about, I also want to look into it because he also said that he felt that too much attention would be paid to the fact that, you know, he's just, you know, had the criminal case turned over and that he had all of that backlash about, you know, what it basically was about. So the bottom line is he felt that his case and everything that came along with that would overshadow. So one source of news is saying that, and the other source of news right now that we're watching, which is Fox News, is saying that Trump told him that he didn't get the votes. I don't know exactly what the bottom line is, but from what I'm hearing, the bottom line is he is not going to be able to be the AG, and Pam is basically going to be selected to be the new AG. And there's just too much stuff going on around the fact that he had that criminal case going on. So I think that was the best thing that happened. Plus, he really probably didn't get the votes which he needed in order to be AG.
The intention of him later taking over the Federal Reserve once current chair Jerome Powell's term ends in 2026.
But Pam Bondi, well, it's unfortunate that we had to lose Matt Gaetz here. Matt would have been a fantastic pick. I've known him for a while, but Pam Bondi is just as good. She's a dogged reformer. She's going to take charge of our DOJ and get rid of the weaponization of government against the Democrats' political opponents, but mostly our families. We've got a lot of challenges in our country, but I think Pam Bondi is ready to meet those challenges.
Yeah, to your point, lest you worry that Trump lost his attack dog when Gaetz dropped out. Have no fear. Pam Bondi is tenacious, and she's going to do every single one of those things that you just mentioned. Job number one, to your point, is ending weaponization at the DOJ. But Terry, how? How will she do that? How do you want her to do that?
Well, the number one thing that we have to do is call the dogs off in all of these unfair investigations, and the erroneous and obviously biased investigations like around January 6th, and actually get to the bottom of a lot of these other cases that are coming up. But number two is call the dogs off on parents, right? We saw that all across the country, parents started standing up for their kids at school board meetings, and then the federal government responded by investigating these parents as domestic terrorists. So we've got to get rid of the bad actors and then start to take actions to clean up a lot of their messes.
Yeah, and the Justice Department is composed of 40 different organizations and has no job anymore. So what do you think ultimately led to this really fast decision for Gaetz to change his mind and say he doesn't want the job anymore?
Well, it's you obviously have to get through a Senate confirmation hearing, and we've heard from, I think it was 3 or 4 senators that they had questions about him, and maybe the talks behind closed doors weren't going that well with those critical members. We don't have a huge majority, and so maybe, I think this is just Matt Gaetz reading the tea leaves and figuring we'll come back and fight another day. But I don't know that much about the situation, and it's really tough to speculate.
See, that's why it's really hard, because we don't know about what happened, and it is tough to speculate. All that we know is that there is a lot of drama around his name, and it's just not good for him to be AG, and it's just not good for him to be in that position. So I think they made a good decision.
Now the question becomes for Matt Gaetz, what's next for him? The speculation abounded yesterday because he did resign from the 118th Congress, and he said he does not intend to be part of the 119th Congress. That's a little lawyering for everybody. Whenever I want to hold open the possibility I can do something, I wrote, I do not intend. Gaetz could be doing that. And there's also the potential he could run for governor there in Florida in 2026. But I want to circle back to Bondi for a moment. She did a masterful job in Florida going after human traffickers and fentanyl pushers. So now we have this combination of Tom Homan and Pam Bondi, potentially, awaiting Senate confirmation. What does that mean for that duo trying to shut down those who profit off of illegal immigration?
It's a huge deal. This is going to be a dynamic duo. They're going to work really well together, and I would be very, very, very worried if I was part of any of these cartels that are trafficking drugs over our borders. But also, I'd be very worried if I was Big Pharma. These guys are going to clean up shop. Tom Homan and Pam Bondi, they are the real deals, and they're all business, and they're going to go after all of the stuff that's happening at our border, as well as the abuses at Big Pharma.
All right, and Terry, one last final quick thought to you. Do you think that Pam Bondi will be confirmed?
I do. Look, she had a very popular run as Attorney General. She's been fully vetted, not just by background checkers, but by the voters of Florida. It's a tough state, tough swing state to win, and she won handily, I think, 7 to 8 points. So she's a serious politician. She's been vetted. She's dogged. She's Davidic and pugnacious, I'd say. So I think she'll get through no problem.
And ping-ponging back and forth when it comes to Matt Gaetz, if he wants to be a part of the next Congress. Apparently that decision is up to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, which is very interesting.
DeSantis got a lot on his plate.
Every day. Hate crime.
Now, to swing this to something that we haven't heard about in a long time, because we thought that it was over. I mean, this guy, Jussie Smollett, is back in the news? Well, yes, he is. Let me just tell you guys why. Jussie Smollett is now back in the news because his case has been overturned. That's right. His guilty conviction has been overturned in the second trial due to the fact that you can't try somebody 2 times. Has nothing to do with the fact that he was guilty or not. Remember that, because he was found guilty for creating a lie, a hate crime, orchestrating everything that he basically did, and he was convicted on that part. But there's something that's called double jeopardy. You cannot charge someone for the same crime twice. And when the DA did that for the second case, that's when in higher court in Chicago, Illinois, overturned the case. And now Mr. Smollett, his guilty charge has now been overturned, and now he's not guilty. Check it out.
hoax conviction, but it's not because he was found innocent of the underlying accusation.
Chanley Painter, who is a lawyer as well, here to explain. Chan, take it away.
Hey, good morning, Todd and Carly. So that's right. The Illinois Supreme Court's decision to throw out the convictions had nothing to do with Smollett's actual guilt or innocence, but instead Smollett's constitutional rights being violated when he was prosecuted a second time for the same incident. Smollett was arrested and charged for filing a false police report in early 2019 in what police say was an orchestrated fake hate crime. He was indicted on 16 counts of felony charges, but those charges were dropped as part of a plea deal. However, public backlash was swift and a special prosecutor stepped in to re-indict the case, leading to Smollett's 2021 conviction. But outgoing Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox still stands by that plea deal.
The amount of attention to a filing of a false police report charge and the energy that resulted from that is something I won't understand. What's important to note is Dan Webb knew all along that this was not a legitimate prosecution. So I'm grateful that the court has finally put this to rest.
But Special Prosecutor Dan Webb says this, quote, "Today's ruling has nothing to do with Mr. Smollett's innocence. The Illinois Supreme Court did not find any error with the overwhelming evidence presented at trial that Mr. Smollett orchestrated a fake hate crime." And despite the court's ruling, the civil case brought by the city of Chicago is still pending against Smollett in an effort to recoup the more than $120,000 in overtime expenses the Chicago Police Department incurred in investigating these claims, guys.
Chanley with a perfect recap. Chanley, thank you. With that, let's bring in the former Chicago police officer who helped expose the Smollett scandal, Eugene Roy. And again, for emphasis, it is important to note that this decision was procedural. It was not substantive, but it still has the same result, an overturned conviction. What's your reaction as the police officer who exposed all of this?
I think it's another example of justice gone wrong. I take strong exception to Kim Fox's remarks that she couldn't understand all the hullabaloo over the filing of a false police report. This is something that cost the citizens of Chicago an inordinate amount of money, but more importantly, it diverted police resources away from solving more serious crimes such as murders, and at the same time, it had downstream effects. It clouded the city's reputation, and also in the long term, it's maybe one of the factors that resulted in the Smollett's show being canceled and dozens of people losing their jobs in Chicago.
It also had
it
also had untold effects on our country. I mean, this was basically pitting races against one another for something that, according to the facts that were presented, did not happen. And again, it should be noted, this is procedural, this overturning by the Supreme Court, not substantive. But going back to the overall sense of what comes next, like if you or I were in this position and we had a conviction over...
If you're a busy guy on the go, here are 4 soup pitfalls to avoid. 1, avoid these telltale signs of cheap construction.
Overturned on procedural grounds. I don't know if you and I would be celebrating in the streets. I don't know if you and I would be taking a victory lap. But that appears what Jussie Smollett and his team are doing. So when you hear his supporters and him taking this victory lap, basically still claiming innocence and not showing any remorse whatsoever, any shame for what happened, what goes through your mind?
It's an outrage. Again, the Supreme Court did not address the matter of the underlying facts. They found no flaws with the investigation. So for somebody to take a victory lap is just, it's gaslighting. It's continuing to gaslight the public, and it's not going to play well. The damage is done to his career. We'll have to wait and see whether those effects are long-term. It's a question of integrity and trust, and it just isn't there.
Obviously, you view this as a wrong. Can this wrong be righted by the civil case?
That remains to be seen. The thing is that, Smollett was found guilty by a jury of his peers. Let's not overlook that either. This was not a finding by a judge. This was a jury of his peers that his lawyers picked and had.
Telling CPD he was a hate crime victim, guilty. Telling CPD he was a battery victim, guilty. Telling a detective he was a hate crime victim, guilty. Telling a detective he was a battery victim, guilty. Telling a detective again he was a battery victim, guilty. Telling second detective he was an aggravated battery victim, not guilty.
Veto power over. So it's not quite the vindication that he says. You know, at time, it's time to, I would say it's time to close the books on this, and let's move along. The facts speak for themselves. You know, those people who lost their jobs when the show closed, you know, they're still suffering. You know, let's put closure on this, and let's move on to more important issues.
Understood. Eugene Roy, thank you for joining us this morning. Really interesting insight on what is an historic decision. Many people don't believe it's right, but that's what the law says. The two brothers who admitted to staging the Smollett hoax, they're going to be live on Fox and Friends coming up. You do not want to miss that.
Very interesting.
Here we go. The ladies on the
Whoa. Wait.
View still outraged by the election results, calling out Trump allies Elon Musk and Joe Rogan.
Musk is he's the real actual vice president. He's making decisions, he's doing things. So I think, why doesn't he have to give up X with everything he's done?
We went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons? He believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that the dragons, like, I guess, like dinosaur type of animals, roamed the earth when people did.
Rogan.
This is crazy. All right, guys, so another episode down. Y'all see how we did it and how we normally do. It's pretty crazy out there in the world politically and everywhere. As far as the View goes, some people think that they need to be canceled. They actually feel that they're overstepping their boundaries when they speak and leading people down avenues in which only have negative outcomes. They seem to have their own view, which is probably why they name it The View. People who believe in The View listen to and watch The View. So if that's your point of view, that's the view that you want to take. If you don't, you probably want to go in another direction. All I know is in this last week, they've been really getting a lot of news, and it hasn't been positive as far as Sonny and Whoopi, as far as the bakery incident, as far as Sonny having to speak and bring up a few legal terms to try to alleviate some of the negative speech that she spoke about Matt Gaetz. Stuff like that is what's basically really driving the internet to be bigger as far as podcasts and guys like myself, people who I look up to, Joe Rogan, as well as Dana White, and a lot of people that actually have networks. So we strive to give you guys the best of information. And like me, I like to curate and bring you all a lot of different elements in one platform. That's why we have Big Drip and The Bottom Line. Again, my name is BOOGOTTINYC. Appreciate you guys for always showing love, always coming through. And like I always tell you, it could have went anywhere. But let's do this first. Make sure y'all go over to the website. Support Big Drip. www.drinkbigdrip.com. Big flavor, big taste, big punch. Raspberry, grape, lemon. 14% alcohol by volume. Go ahead and get that. www.drinkbigdrip.com. Also have some phenomenal merch. You guys have been seeing this all week. Go get y'all some. And like I told you before, it could have went anywhere. But the fact that you came here to chill with me, I appreciate you. So till tomorrow, get 'em! 1.